Talk 49.
My guest today is Emil Kaschka from Pfaffenhofen in Tirol. Emil Kaschka is a poet. Emil, welcome to Talk 49.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks a lot for the invitation.
Poetry. Emil, how did you get started in poetry?
Actually, I like to consider me as a writer. Poetry is one thing I do, but I also write other stuff. But poetry, as you said, is the main thing I do. And I don't know when it exactly happened, when I got to love it. But I always wrote already in school. And I went to alternative school, and I remember a teacher saying to me, Emil, you have to stop writing too much. You have to also consider doing mathematics, doing other stuff, because every day I was only writing and doing nothing else. And yeah, I don't know where the passion for stories exactly comes from, but I love it.
When did you develop it to a sense of being able to take part in competitions? I know you go in for Poetry Slam. Could you expand a little bit? Tell us about Poetry Slam.
Yeah, Poetry Slam was a very, very interesting and very important stage in my career, because before I started with Poetry Slam, I never showed my writing to anyone. So Poetry Slam, I like to put it together as a competition of writers. Poetry Slam is actually, it's performance art. So it's an evening event where people go to and listen to writers which are performing their texts, which they have written by themselves, against each others. And the important thing at Poetry Slam is that the people who come to watch, they are the jury, and they're judging the texts, and they give points to every Poetry Slammer. And so it's not like a normal reading when someone is just reading of his book. The people who come to watch are invented to take part at it, and so it's a very popular thing actually.
Is the audience, it's the same as the jury, are they very critical?
It's always different, because there are really big poetry slams, for example in Innsbruck or in Graz or also in Vienna, where every month there is a poetry slam, and the people who go there, they have already a very critical attitude developed. But if you go to poetry slams which are new, where the audience isn't so experienced, they like nearly everything.
Are you critical?
I'm very self-critical, yeah. It takes a long time until I am ready to perform a text by myself. I'm very self-critical. When it comes to other texts, I think I'm entertained very easily.
Emil, what was it like the first time you read one of your poems in a poetry slam?
Yeah, I remember it very good, because it was a very great day. I always say it's one of the best days in my life. I remember there were like almost 200 people watching, and I was really, really nervous. I was going to the toilet like 7 times in half an hour, and then I did it, and when I started with my first words, I remember everything else disappeared. It was just me reading the text, and I felt that I had the attention of the audience, and it was a feeling that made me addicted.
How often does Poetry Slam happen?
It depends of how popular you are. If you're popular and you're winning some poetry slams, you get invited in every it is in Austria, and also then in Germany and in Switzerland. And so on really good months, I had like 10 poetry slams per month. Now, of course, due to Corona, it's not happening at the moment.
Is it not happening online at the moment either?
Yeah, they tried. I remember in the first lockdown, there were a lot of slams happening online. There still are, but it's not that much. It's actually a few. And the thing is, it's not the same, because in Poetry Slam, you always have the interaction with the audience. They are laughing, they are applauding also during the text when you have some good lines. And everything is missing in the internet, of course. So you're sitting at home alone in an empty room, and you're performing your text. It's not the same. You don't feel the attention of the audience.
Emil, where do you get your influence from?
First of all, I read a lot, so I think that helps to sharpen your technique, your writing style. But of course, all the influence comes of experience of daily life. I don't have really special moments when I always get to have some ideas. It's everything that happens in daily life.
Okay. Does it help to be alone or walking through a forest or anything like this?
I think every situation where you're not distracted helps. So if you're not distracted with a mobile phone or with other people chatting, it helps. So yeah, walking alone helps, but I don't like walking alone. So the most ideas maybe I form when I'm trying to sleep and lying alone in bed and there's no mobile phone, there's nothing else. Also sometimes under the shower or driving the car without listening to the radio.
Have you always got a notebook with you, so when you get ideas you can write things down?
Yeah, I have one underneath my bed, my bed, and I have another one always in my backpack. So those two I almost always carry with me.
Are many of your poems spontaneous, or do they develop?
That's very different. So there are some poems I remember I got up because I couldn't sleep at 2 a.m. and I just sat down for an hour and I wrote a whole poem. And there are other poems I think about a concept and I'm working on it for weeks and sometimes even for months until they finished, and they have the same length and maybe they are sometimes also have the same quality. It's interesting for myself how they develop different.
Do your poems more or less all have the same theme or subject? Is there one subject that's particularly dear to you?
I really try to write about, or I not try, it just happens, I write about actually everything, yeah. It often reflects my personal mood, so I remember when I broke up, for example, with a girlfriend, I will write some weeks only about that.
Okay.
But it can change.
I understand. So your poetry is about everything and everything. Where are you going in the future with your poetry?
I love doing poetry slams, those competitions, and I will always do it. But I think if you really want to make a living out of it, you got the better chance with writing novels and books. And so that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Oh, you're writing a book right now. Can you give us a clue what it's about?
Yeah, I've just recently finished my second book.
Okay.
But now my first book, it's very recently, probably gets published. And that one is about just a growing up story about a young boy.
Growing up. Any serious adventures happen in it, or is it just a normal growing up?
Starts like a normal growing up, but it's in the Alps, in a very conservative school, and people there they're still very conservative, and he gets confronted with that, with mobbing, and in the end there are happening some serious incidents. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a social book with a message, and does it have a happy ending?
Exactly. It's a social book with a message, and no, I wouldn't say it's a happy ending. So it has a surprising ending, I think, and actually it won't satisfy the readers 100%.
So we have to read the next one.
Yeah, no, there won't be a following book, but it's part of the message, and I think the message will stick better if you don't satisfy the reader for 100%. So
wow, okay.
Yeah.
What's the name of this book, Emil Kaschka? What's this book called?
That book will be called Grünholz.
One's grün, so be green. Grünholz.
Yeah.
Greenwood,
Yeah,
Grünholz,
exactly.
in German language, of course. And when can we start going to order this book, Emil? When can we buy this book?
I think it will be ready in October.
Okay, so a nice Christmas present maybe for somebody.
Yeah, that would be a good idea, yeah?
Please remember this book. It's called Grünholz by Emil Kaschka. If anybody's thinking of things to buy each other for Christmas, that's a good tip. But Emil, before we finish, could you just recite in German, please, one of your poems for us?
So I like to give a little introduction of my text. I wrote it when I was alone on Erasmus in Sevilla last year. And yeah, I had a lot of time to think about myself because I was actually alone there. I just had to get to know some people. And it's like a reflection about how important yourself are in comparison to the universe, how important love can be if it's confronted with such a big thing as the universe. It's called Der Mond im Mann. Mit dir bin ich der Vollmond, wichtig, strahlend, stolz erhoben, ohne dir ein Schmollmund, nur um 90 Grad verschoben. Ja, ja und bla bla. Du hast gesagt, das Universum ist so groß und wir so klein und gerade weil es von uns so viele gibt, jeder irgendwie allein. Ja, ja und bla bla. Du hast gesagt, es dreht sich nicht immer alles nur um dich. Aber da widersprich ich dann dir, weil von mir aus gesehen, also im Leuchtturmblick um mich herum, fühle ich mich dann doch wie das Zentrum. Natürlich gibt's Milliarden andere und ich bin nur ein einziger von allen und jeder ist besonders und speziell. Vom Hollywood-Schauspieler bis zum Tiroler Holzfäller, trotzdem bin ich noch mehr Cola und Orange, also Spezi, Ella. Vor anderen gibt man es nie zu und auch nur selten vor sich allein, aber ehrlich, es wird doch niemand das Gefühl je los, was ganz Besonderes zu sein. Und so nehme ich mich dann selber zu wichtig und wichtig kommt von Gewicht und zu viel Gewicht verleihe ich mir und mache damit meine kleinen Probleme selber schwer. Und selber zu wichtig nehmen ist bei vielen harmlos gemeinten Sachen gekränkt sein statt zu lachen. Ist sich dich mit einem anderen vorstellen, alleine in der Nacht, wir verleihen unseren Problemen selber Macht. Und wenn ich dann dort liege, kein einziger Gedanke, der sich lohnt, ist das Einzige, was hilft, der Mond. Weil dann denke ich mir, was wenn der runde Mond ein Loch wäre und auf der anderen Seite ist noch wer. Dort lutschen sie Erdkugeln, wir vernehmen zwei Süßigkeit und wir sind nur ein Bakterienstamm auf einer ausgespuckten Einheit. Was, wenn der Mond nur eine Linse ist, durch die sie uns beobachten wie ein Experiment und wir sind sowas wie der Triopse zum selber züchten Trend? Was, wenn der Mond ein Auge ist und jedes Monat nur ein Wimpernschlag? Dann ist unser Leben doch kurz und für den Mond gerade mal ein Tag. Und helfen diese Gedanken nicht, sich selber weniger wichtig nehmen und bedeutet das nicht, sich Gewicht vom Schmerzweg nehmen, Probleme leichter machen, leicht, ja, wenn das so leicht wäre, weil sind wir nicht gerne schwer, wichtig? Stellt euch vor, J.K. Rowling hätte sich nicht wichtig genommen, nach der 10. Absage einfach aufgegeben. Dann würde Harry heute noch als Manuskript verstaubt in der Schublade unter der Treppe leben. Ja, stellt euch vor, Kopernikus hätte sich nicht so wichtig genommen, alles gelassen wie es ist, dann wäre die Erde heute noch flach, so wie Witze über Chuck Norris. Mit dir war ich der Vollmond, wichtig, strahlend, stolz erhoben, ohne dir bin ich ein Schmollmund, nur um 90 Grad verschoben. Du hast zu mir gesagt, es wird immer schönere und bessere geben. Das ist ein Risiko, damit muss unsere Beziehung leben. Und ich habe genickt und ja gesagt, weil es natürlich stimmt, aber eigentlich nie geglaubt, dass ich jemand Besseren als dich je finde. Du hast gewusst, wie es geht, sich selber nicht so wichtig nehmen. Deswegen hast du öfter gelacht. Aber ich glaube, glücklicher warst du nicht. Deswegen versuche ich so zu sein wie du, aber ich glaube, ich lüge mir ins Gesicht, weil dann denke ich wieder an den Mond. Er ist physikalisch der kleinste Himmelskörper, den wir sehen, muss jede Nacht zwischen 1000 größeren Sternen stehen und trotzdem ist er in unseren Augen der größte und am wichtigsten. Und deswegen hoffe ich, dass ich irgendwann für jemanden der Mond sein kann. Ich weiß, ich bin ein Idealist, wenn ich der Mond sein will, und ein Koalabär, ein Amurleopard und ein Orang-Utan sitzen in meinem Boot und auf unserer Flagge steht, vom Aussterben bedroht. Aber in unserem Boot ist schön. Kommt mit, wer will, der darf sich zu uns legen. Die Sonne ist für uns versunken, aber wir segeln dem Mond entgegen. Thanks, that's it.
Emil Kaschka, a wonderful poem about a rising moon, about feeling important. Emil, thank you very much for talking to us. Just one more time, please, Emil, the name of your book once again, please.
Yeah, it's Grünholz.
Grünholz. And that will be coming out around October. Emil Kaschka. And Emil...
It probably will, yeah.
Brilliant. We'll keep our fingers crossed. You're definitely a moon that's on its way up. Thank you very much for talking to us, and come back again and see you soon. Emil Kaschka, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you a lot. Thanks.
Talk 49.